Hi there. Have you ever wondered what it is like to go or undergo chemotherapy? Well, in this video, I will share my personal experience with chemotherapy in the hope of inspiring others who are facing similar experience or challenges. As someone who's undergoing chemotherapy, I know firsthand how scary and overwhelming it can be. But I also know that by sharing my experience, I can help others feel less alone and more empowered to take control of their own health. When I first received my diagnosis, I was in shock, and it's safe to say that I'm still in shock. I couldn't believe that my life was about to take a drastic turn. The doctor's word kept playing over and over. It's like a broken record in my head, you know. And I felt like my whole world was gonna crash, you know. I remember thinking, how did I even get from feeling and being so healthy and active to a life-threatening illness such as cancer? That was scary moments. It was not easy for me to process the diagnosis, let alone the battery of tests that followed, and then the treatment options. I have already described the surgery and the recovery period of the surgery in my previous video, so please do well to check that out. Chemotherapy was then next in line in the treatment plan. I've had loads of gruesome stories about chemotherapy, but I had no idea how it would affect me personally. Would I lose my hair? Would I be sick all the time? Would I still be able to work and live a normal life? Particularly, would I be able to take care of my young family, my young children? So many questions swirled in my head. It was unknown and terrifying, I can tell you that for free. But, life goes on. We have to do everything to get me back in track, or near as normal as possible. So as I started my chemotherapy treatment, I quickly learned that it was going to be a long and difficult journey, affecting both my physical and mental well-being. The side effects were brutal. Like, there are days when I felt like at my lowest point, I thought I would just give up. Like, what's the point? But I knew I couldn't give up, not even for a second. I had to keep pushing forward. I had to use everything in me. Just no matter how hard it gets. That is a saying. My mom would say, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. That played in my head quite often. Like, you're tough, you just have to get going, you can't give up now, so in the long run I developed some coping strategies to help me get through the tough times, the toughest of the times, a few days following the chemotherapy. Some of my coping strategies, I'm a Christian, so I always go to my God because he's my source of strength. Don't know what I would do without him. So I prayed a lot. I listened to gospel songs, just surround myself with worship and the presence of God. And I believe that was quite uplifting to both my physical and mental health. And yes, anything that will bring on the good old laugh, comedy, listening to positive podcasts and motivational speaking, just anything that would bring my spirit and lift my spirit up. Because whatever goes on in your body, if the battle is won in your spirit, first of all, you can just about do anything. So I focused on my spiritual health, my mental health, and that I found really helped with the physical health. It was like my body was catching up with my spirit, So having said that, I'm sure you'll be wondering, okay, so what exactly happened in terms of side effects? What did you get? And I'll tell you what I got. My hair, although you would think that is vain, but I had really beautiful long hair. This is extensions. I had really beautiful long hair, and which I tried so hard to um, keep sort of holding so tightly onto it. There is this technology. It's called a cold cap. I think in one of my videos, I probably would attach it here as well. It's meant to preserve your hair from falling off. I used the technology, but unfortunately, I still had my hair lost. I did not find that funny. The side effect of the cold cap itself was so intense, but at the beginning, I wasn't sure. I thought it was just all the side effect of the chemotherapy itself. I felt like my brain was frozen, like I see if my brain is frozen. Should I use frozen or fried? But it was so difficult for me to even open my eyes. I don't want any sort of noise around me or light or movement whatsoever. For days, I don't even know where my phone is at, because the light from the phone, the noise, anything at all, and the dizziness and the vomiting, it was as if I just raise my head from the bed, I'm vomiting. And this will last for days. So for the first 10 days following the chemotherapy, it was so bad. And like I said earlier, I thought it was the chemotherapy itself, but I mentioned it to the medical team, and the severity of the symptoms, they suggested, oh, that we have not had the severity of the symptoms with the kind of chemotherapy you have, so it's probably going to be the cold cap. I was like, okay, I don't think my hair is that important. So I let go of the cold cap. Even before I let go of it, most of my hair in the middle part was already gone. So I was like, what's the point? I let go. I didn't use a cold cap. After discontinuing the use of the cold cap, I found that the side effect was somewhat bearable, and I continued then without the cold cap. Honestly, in retrospective, I would not opt for that cold cap. Neither would I recommend. I do know that people are different, but from my own experience, no, I will not do that again to myself. And the next, actually, I don't know, should I call it the next, but this one is big for me. It's dealing with fatigue. There is a difference between being tired and being fatigued. A lot of people don't experience fatigue, but when you experience fatigue, everything feels like a chore. Even getting up from the bed, every little task feels difficult, and this was especially very difficult for me, considering that I have young children. My husband is present when he's home, like I don't lift a finger, he makes sure of that. But he has work commitments, because I'm not working. Somebody's got to work for the bills to get paid, But I was so lucky. I'm so blessed that I was surrounded by my church community. They would cook for me. They would cook for us and bring us out. But I think for a month or so, like every single day, someone is cooking and bringing for us. So that one took at least that stress out. But there is still like the actual taking care of the children, taking them to school, and my beloved friend was here. So the days when I was having the IV chemotherapy, I couldn't do anything. It's unreal. Like even getting out of bed for myself is difficult. So I was completely not able to do anything. And my best friend, God bless her heart, when my husband is not working, she works from home, so she would come to my house and she would leave. She would do the school run, she would look after the kids, everything. Like I was surrounded, and that is I do not take that for granted. I know that is such a huge blessing, that's a big testimony. So someone was there around the clock to help around things. So that was a huge help. But of course, she has a life, right? And when I switched, I'm still going to talk about the advantage and the disadvantages of the IV chemotherapy and the oral chemotherapy, which I am taking now. The fatigue is still there. When the OT first, occupational therapist first came to see how I can deal with the fatigue, it was just, it's unreal. There's no way, there's no adjustment that they can make at home. The only way I could cope is somebody being there around the clock with me, right? But when I switched to the oral one, they came again to see how how I can cope with things. And to cope with the fatigue, they advised me to prioritize my tasks and leave the less important ones. Now, being a normally very active person who is very orderly and strive for excellence, that was difficult, right? Very difficult, because every task is important to me. You get up in the morning, I want the bed, I want the room, on point, bed well laid, everything nice and sparkling. But I quickly realized that that was not feasible, because some days I just literally have enough strength to get up and shower and eat. Some other days I might just about do a little to look after my children. So something has to give. Something has to give. So I had to really, really prioritize. Have they eaten? Are they showered? Is everybody alive and breathing? And that's it. The plates, the dishes can be washed whenever later. The bed, if the kids, the children, they make their own bed. So it just sort of prioritizing just to conserve your energy and leaving it, my energy, and leaving it for the really important things. And to be honest, that makes me feel, inadequate, in the sense that I felt like I'm not really performing my motherly roles. Sometimes I'm so tired, the kids want to play or they want to do homework, and I have to just leave them with the screens, and I'm blaming myself, or they're having extended screen time, or I want to cook but I don't have the energy, we just have to do a takeout, which is not always very healthy. So this guilt, this guilt of, oh, I'm not being or giving the best to my family, was there, I cannot lie. But I do have a very supportive partner, just who always reassures me that this is only a phase, and knowing who you were before all of this, you can't blame yourself. You're just making do with what is under the circumstance, making the best of it, isn't it? So school run was another big one for me, and my family and I, we just kept things under the wrap for a very long time. We didn't seek for help, but at some point it was getting difficult even to drive the kids to school, then park and take them. So I opened up to the school authority, and they gave me they were helpful. They gave me the go ahead to use the school car park, which means that I don't have to come down from the car when I manage any day that I managed to drive them to school, which again, thankfully, was only like 3-4 minutes drive. I don't have to come down, so I could just literally park at the gate and watch them go into the school. So that was helpful. So just literally trying to find a balance of somewhat normalcy. They made some exemption for me, especially just to be able to pick them earlier before it gets, so they'll bring the kids out. But then my children, being as smart as they are, like, Mommy, why do we have to leave before the rest of the people? I couldn't keep up the excuses for more than 1 week. I had to give in. So that became another challenge. Well, yeah, but try to maintain as much normalcy as possible. That is how I tend to cope with that. And then the nausea and the vomiting. Nausea and vomiting, mouth sores. As a healthcare professional, right, I could deal with so many different kind of fluids. I don't want to go into the details, but vomitus has always been like a big one for me. Like, I find it difficult. The sight and smell of it would unsettle me. I'm talking about looking after patients. But now I have to deal with my own vomiting multiple times a day. And when I was doing the IV therapy, the first 2 weeks is horrible. and the anti-sickness medication was not even helping at all. It only just made me dizzier. So somehow I just have to wait for that gruesome period to pass. But then I started experimenting on things to help me, natural things, and I did find that ginger, natural ginger, just when I say natural ginger, the ginger root, the one you peel and do stuff for yourself, did help. Another one was peppermint tea. So these two did help to contain it. So I can't stand this taste of, if I'm going to eat that food, I can't cook it, because when I cook it, the smell of it puts me off even before. So I literally was just eating to survive. I eat enough. When I say enough, I just eat to survive. Lemon water. And another thing that was peculiar I noticed was that I was craving for my local dishes. And thankfully I had people, some of my church folks who are from where I came from originally, so they would make those food and they would, I would stock my freezer. So that was big help. And because I couldn't even stand the sight or taste of other kind of food. And this was, I'm talking about the IV intravenous chemotherapy. With the oral chemotherapy, which I am on now, it's a little bit more tolerable. I don't know if because I have already passed through the intravenous chemotherapy and I just know how to cope better, or it's just better in terms of the side effects that you get from the oral chemotherapy and the intravenous chemotherapy. And the intravenous chemotherapy cycle was 3 weekly. So I have one cycle, and then the next cycle will be in 3 weeks time. But in that 3 weeks that I literally have like 3 to 4 days I begin to feel myself again. So the mouth sores are clearing, the vomiting is settling, and I can tolerate food a little bit more. But then within the next 4 days out of 3 weeks, you're back to that. So it was really gruesome. And for the mouth sores, the change of taste definitely is there. The mouth sores tend to respond to analgesia, so pain relief, and the mouthwash. There was this mouthwash, I can't remember the name of it. If you can ask your team if it's something that is worrying. So this one kind of just numbs, so at least that the pain is not there. I know there is no taste of food or whatever, but it numbs the pain that comes with the mouth sores. So at least I'm dealing with one thing rather than more than that. So that was how I was able to manage through that. And also experience of dark nails and dry skin, all of these there were not much concerns, they were easier to deal with. So you've heard me say intravenous chemotherapy and oral chemotherapy. So it was since the recurrence in 2024 April that I went on oral chemotherapy. So I started oral chemotherapy last year. So though I take this every day, so the oral chemotherapy I take one every day, and I take all the injections at week intervals. Like I said earlier, the fatigue is still the side effect still comes with the fatigue and nausea and vomiting in the sores, but I do feel like the side effects are less aggressive than intravenous chemotherapy. But again, perhaps my previous experience with the intravenous chemotherapy just aided my coping mechanism. So, but I'm not entirely sure. It could be that. There have been so many difficult moments, so many difficult moments, but one stands out. It was so tough. I do go for a regular blood test, and I had to take one of my child. My husband was working, and I couldn't just arrange childcare. So this child of mine, very, very, very little baby child of mine, stood there bravely observing mommy being stabbed with a needle, and it was just there, so brave, trying so hard not to cry. And me watching that, it was so heartbreaking. I can't even explain it. But you know, throughout this journey, I've realized that each day is a gift, and I've come to appreciate life's small moments. I've come to learn how to just ease off sometimes and be kind to myself. There are a lot of things that I want to happen, but it's not happening my way. And when I'm talking about taking care of the kids, I mean, at least everybody is alive and breathing. So taking things one step at a time has helped me. I've found inner strength I never knew existed. I never knew that I could be this strong. I know people say, oh, Angel, you're so strong. I don't know that I'm strong until, you know, each day actually reveals to me like how strong that I could get. But I know that it's not my strength. It's actually the strength, the joy of the Lord. The Lord has always been my strength. I've learned the value of community and support. I've learned I'm still learning how to receive help. Yeah, and seek for help. That is still a journey, maybe a long journey for me. But where I've come, I'm the kind of person that even if I'm dying, I would not ask for help. But God is helping me, because God has not designed people to live as an island. We have people, we have community for a reason. So I've learned how to open myself to be vulnerable and open myself to seek for support. And this is a very challenging journey, but it's making me stronger each day. It's making me wiser and more compassionate. A lot of people are dealing with a lot of things. It's just when you see someone, just having compassion as the go-to, because you don't know what they're dealing with. So yeah, it has definitely made me more compassionate. No matter how ugly or rude the person is being to me, that compassion is there, because I feel like it's probably stemming from what that person is going through at the moment. So I cut people some slack. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, so that's the end of my story with chemotherapy. It's not a pleasant one, but thank you for listening to my story, and I hope that sharing my experience today, I can inspire you or other people, anybody that you know or anybody that's listening to me, facing their own health battles. Just remember, you're not alone. There's always hope for better tomorrow. Peg it. Positive expectation of good. Expect good out of every situation every day. If you have and want to share any of your story or your journey, please leave it in the comment section. I love to hear from you. I love to connect. We're building a community of people who support each other to go through this tough journey. And if you're new here, consider subscribing for more content on health and personal journeys. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you again in my next video.